Okay, welcome back to the main interview section of today's podcast. And I'd like to welcome Sorrel Nation to the podcast. Hello, Sorrel.
Hi there. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on. I said in my introduction to this podcast, for those who listen on audio, that I first saw you live in 2024, I think it was, at the Camden Chapel. At
Oh,
the
yes, yes.
Yeah, it was the recommendation of Graham Jackson, and Graham's one of those people where if he recommends, you just go because his ear is just
Oh.
incredible. And yeah, no, he did he got it right once again.
Oh,
So yeah, no, just yeah, I've been a fan for a few years now, so it's really great to speak to you. First
thank
question I
you.
ask everyone who comes on to the podcast, sometimes easier, sometimes harder for some. I don't know, but I always just ask, just for those who don't know, what would you say the genre of music that you make is?
Sure. Yeah, it's I find Americana is the easiest way to kind of
Yeah.
encompass everything that I do because it's very much, especially this album, very much influenced by country music, by folk music.
Mm,
Um, and it's a real kind of it's a real kind of mashup of the two, I suppose. Plus, some of the songs I write have some blues influences, and some songs, especially on my old album, were more sort of pop rock. So
mm,
Americana really is just a really great way to kind of encompass all those genres because especially on this next album that I've got coming out, there really is there's some songs that are real folk songs and there are some songs that are really country songs.
yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
good way to describe it.
No, I always describe Americana as an umbrella genre, I think is how I've always
Yeah.
said it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good
I
way to say
mean,
it.
even on my radio station, I always, although I present the Americana Fishbowl, it's the best of
Mhm.
Americana, folk, country, blues, and everything in
Yeah.
between is the tagline. So I try and,
Yeah.
try and play to all parts
It's
of it,
a
I guess. But
bit of a
yeah,
mouthful otherwise if you have to say, well, folk, country, blues, pop,
yeah,
rock.
yeah, it is. And yeah, Americana just fits well. Finish.
And
Um, so I want to start right at the beginning, and I want to ask you what was playing in the household when you were growing up. What were the first musical sounds you were hearing?
Oh, such a lovely question. I love talking about this because it really is where it all started for me. It was the Sunday lunches with my parents and my parents' friends. And there's usually quite a lot of wine involved. Not for me because I was
Mm,
young, obviously, but lots of wine and lots of guitars and lots of amazing music. And the stuff that was being played, I mean, we would listen to the Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac, the
mm,
Kinks, Small Faces, Joni Mitchell, Carole King, Status Quo. Gosh, just so much music being played, um, but not just stuff we were listening to, but being played. My parents would have friends over for a Sunday roast, and then that would just turn into a massive jam session every
mm,
Sunday. And sometimes on a Friday night as well, they'd have friends over, and
yeah,
that would turn into a massive jam session, either with everyone sort of dancing on chairs in the kitchen and singing along at the top of their voices to
yeah.
just the best music from the 60s and 70s, really, like Tom Petty and
Mm,
Kate Bush, just all the greats. And then we were playing it as well. I was singing along from a really young age, and yeah, my parents' friends would come over, and a lot of them were musicians, and we'd be playing Beatles stuff and Kinks, and it was just so much fun and so inspiring. And I think I was just, there was so much music going on in the household from such a young age that I just knew that I wanted to be a musician and just sing those songs and sing them on stage and learn guitar and write my own songs and try and replicate some of that music that I was exposed to.
Well, this is always an interesting thing on the podcast because I ask that question. That is my opening question, in terms of getting to know an artist. And the funny thing is that sometimes you can tell that an artist has that they'll say what they heard growing up, but you can tell it's kind of come just from a few compilation CDs their parents had, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
sounds to me like you grew up in a truly musical household, as in you grew up in a household of musicians, and as somebody who loves music themselves and is so deeply obsessed with music myself,
Yeah.
I didn't have that. So my question to you is, what's it like being in a household? You kind of described it a bit, but let's go a bit deeper into that. What's it like being in a
Yeah.
household where music is just everywhere?
Well, it's interesting because I'm actually the only musician in my family, but I think it was the extended family, all these friends of my parents that would come over, and my parents are real music lovers,
Mm,
and so are my brothers. So I was the only musician in the
mm,
household, but then, our next door neighbor Steve, who was one of my parents' best friend, kind of like an uncle brother figure,
mm,
and he helped teach me play guitar. And I'd sing with him from a really, really young age. And another one of my parents' really close friends called Chris, he worked in the music industry, and he sent me some lyrics and let me he said to me, write a melody and write some, put some chords to this. And that was one of the first songs. It was called Walking on Glass. I'll never forget it, because I must have been about 14 when I sort of put that song together with his lyrics,
mm,
and recorded it with another friend of my parents, a guy called Nigel Lois, who was a record producer. And he was incredible at just inviting me and my parents over so that I could go and record some music with him when I was so young. So just having that, just having my family, be so supportive, and them knowing that I had this musical bone in my body, and just exposing me to all these friends of theirs at all these parties and jam sessions and Sunday lunches, and taking me to pubs to see live music,
mm.
that was something that was just incredible, just growing up in this, yeah, just really authentic music loving household with these amazing musicians around me was just awesome. And, I was really lucky to have some friends of mine, two friends, still my two best friends, Maz and Will. Will Page is it? He's the lead singer of a band called Noble Jacks,
Mm,
and we pretty much grew up together. And our first band was together. It was a folk rock band called Electric
mm,
Hoedown, and we would go and do barn dances and cider festivals. I think I was 13 or 14 when I
yeah.
joined that band. I knew Maz, she was my best friend, and then yeah, me and Maz and Will were lead singers in this folk rock band with their dad on bass guitar and another guy on drums, and a lead guitarist as well. And it was
Mm,
just awesome. We were playing like Fairport Convention songs, and
yeah.
songs like Devil Went Down to Georgia, and it
Yeah.
was just so, I was so young, but I was traveling the country with this amazing band, playing these festivals, playing barn dances. It was exposed to all this incredible folk music. It was just such a cool experience, and my parents just put everything into making sure that I had the time, and they would drop me off at band rehearsal after school. We pick
Yeah.
me up from secondary school and drop me off at band rehearsal, or drive me down to Somerset to do a festival. It was just
Yeah.
just amazing, so supportive. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so obviously you started at a very young age, and then I
Mhm.
assume got more serious as you move into teenagehood and things like many musicians tend to do, right? That's quite a common thing to happen. Um, and you mentioned there you're in a band as well, and then so when did you start performing your own music and doing
Mhm.
maybe not this iteration of Sorrel Nation, but
Yeah.
at least some iteration of what we would start recognizing as the current Sorrel Nation and the music you have today, kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think I was around 15 when I really sort of started songwriting myself, and felt confident enough on guitar to play in front of people and go out and play gigs. And another friend of my parents, a guy called Mike Patterson,
Mm,
he was basically my first manager. He was incredible. He just really believed in me, and he loved my songs, and he helped me get gigs all over the UK. I played a lot in London when I was sort of 15, 16, 17, and did lots of little festivals, and did some really cool support slots for
mm.
some amazing names. Like, I look back now and I just think, God, that was so cool. Like Tom Hingley from Inspiral
Mm,
Carpets, and Martin Carthy, Dave Swarbrick. These are some real
mm.
kind of folk greats.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't really know that much about them and know who they are. And I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, that was so cool. 15-year-old Sorrel. I was like, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And I just, yeah, had these people that believed in me. And, we, traipsed off across the country again to play all these shows, or, even sometimes hopped on a train to London on my own to do a support slot. But more often than not, I was, young. So my mum and my dad would always come with me. Um, and played some really cool shows across London, and yeah, things were really kind of kicking off back then, I'd say. I got an opportunity. I did a thing for Disney, the Captain America, what was it? It was the trailer the DVD release trailer for The Winter Soldier, Captain
Mm.
America. I was asked to sing A Winter Wonderland,
Oh yeah.
which was another just awesome. Every now and again, I'll go back on YouTube and watch it because that was so cool. And I'm a big Theo, my partner, and I, we're slightly nerdy when it comes to all the
Mm.
superhero films like Marvel and stuff. So I'm like, that's super cool as well. But yeah, so yeah, it was about 15, yeah, about 15 years old that I really started playing my own music and doing gigs across the country. And like I said, I was recording with a family friend called Nigel Lewis, recorded my first ever EP called First Sight with
Mm.
him. And I think, yeah, I was 15 when I recorded that. So yeah, and it just kind of kicked off from there. You know, I was doing festivals and we had some really cool gigs. And it wasn't until how old was I? When I was 19, fell in love with an
Mm.
Australian and moved to Australia for 5 years. So
Mm.
that was interesting because I felt like I had to kind of start from scratch again over in Australia because I'd been building this momentum over here,
Yeah.
then sort of followed my heart. And a lot of my friends had been traveling and had been to uni, and I'd never done that. I left school after GCSEs,
Mm.
went to music college for a year, which was awesome, and
Mm.
made some really great friends and learnt a lot from that. But had never done the whole traveling thing or living in another country or
Yeah.
even living away from home. So when I had the opportunity to go to Australia, I just took it. And even that was great. You know, that was 5 years in Australia, and I was doing mostly kind of pub covers gigs.
Mm.
Hard work, like
Yeah.
three 45-minute sets, 3 or 4 nights a week, if
Yeah.
not more, sometimes. Uh, Sometimes on top of, working in hospitality as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was still a great experience as well. And it makes you a hardy musician if you can play in a rowdy Aussie pub at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
You'll be okay anywhere.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There's playing to your own audience, and there's playing to an audience that didn't know you'd be there. Even some of
Hmm.
them, and it's like
Yeah.
that's and if you can win them round, that is some kudos to the musician who does that, of course. So what then happened? So I'm assuming, well, I know you did. You moved back to the UK. It'd be a bit weird to say if I assume you moved back because I know you did because I've seen you live here. So you moved back to the UK, and is this when sort of you start seeing the part of your story that I would know come into the picture, or is there still a bit to go?
Still a little bit to go. It sort of happened gradually. I mean, I was always um wanting to do music full time, and I was writing a lot of songs. And I grew up in Tunbridge Wells, and there's an amazing local music
Mm.
scene there in Tunbridge Wells, and a promoter called Paul Dunton, who's another person who's been really, really supportive of
Mm.
me over the years, and got me some great gigs, and I worked with some amazing musicians in Tunbridge Wells. But then I moved to Australia, and then when I moved home, obviously we had the whole kind of COVID thing that really put a damper down. I just
Yeah.
started kind of writing again, and I always wanted to be a full-time musician, but I always had, other careers going on. I worked in hospitality for quite a while. And then I worked in vet practices as well for about 5 years and did my first year of my vet nurse training. Especially whilst COVID was going on, it was kind of
Mm.
that moment of, oh, is the
Yeah.
music industry going to be okay? And do I need to have a bit of a plan B? And, my other passion in life other than music is animals,
Mm.
especially dogs. Anyone that's seen my socials will have seen my rescue dog Lana. So I mean that was a fantastic job, but it was a job that took a lot of time and energy working in vet practices. So music
Mm.
kind of took a little bit of a back burner for a little while. But I was still writing, and definitely the flame hadn't gone out.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I moved home, I met my partner Theo. He also plays the cello in my band, and we've been together 7 years. And we met and we moved to Edinburgh, and we lived in Edinburgh for a couple of years. And that's when I kind of started writing more and thought about getting my band back together. So put an EP together with some new songs, with some musicians and friends from Tunbridge Wells, and really just enjoyed being back in the studio and releasing music again. Um, and then my parents moved to the Isle of Wight, and Theo and I decided that we were just going to actually post COVID and everything, and struggling with money and stuff, we thought, well, we're just going to live in our camper van.
Mm.
So we moved into our camper van, because we were doing a lot of festivals. We were doing something like 16 festivals a year with a company called the Magic Teapot. And so it didn't really make sense to be living in Edinburgh and then driving
Yeah.
south to be doing all of these music
Mm.
festivals. So we just moved into our camper van, which was an awesome couple of years of just traveling around, playing at festivals, living in the van. And it really, really reignited that kind of yearning
Mm.
to do something real, like really, big with my music, and release a debut album, and play some of my favorite, big festivals. And I sort of had this urge, but I was still really just doing pub gigs here on the Isle of Wight, and doing what I could. But as a sort of one man show, I was just struggling to have the
Yeah.
right contacts and know where to go. And that's where Graham came into the picture. And I know you know Graham Jackson very
Yep.
well. So we met 3 years ago. He came across me as I think he'd seen a video on YouTube of me playing at the Little Rabbit Barn, which is a
Mm.
great venue. And then he just turned up at a pub gig I was doing on the Isle of Wight one day, which was super cool. And came and listened to my tunes, and I was playing with my guitarist and friend Sam
Mm.
Anderson. And yeah, Graham just he just loved what I was doing, and he just saw the potential, and honestly completely has changed my world since working with him. It's been 3 years now, and yeah, I'm officially a full-time musician. And as we're going to talk about in a moment, I'm sure it's just there's been so much happening in the last 3 years that's
Yeah.
so exciting. So that kind of brings you up to date with, yeah, how the sort of journey so far.
Yes. Well, let's talk about. I've actually got a copy of it here. Let's talk about the
Oh,
debut album first. So
yeah.
it's not often I get to do this.
Yeah, that's very
Well,
exciting.
to be fair, it is often I get to do this. I just forget. And I was interviewing Laura Evans last week, and I've got two of her records, and I said to her, I should have got them out. They're sat over there. Why haven't I done that? So I
Oh,
thought I'd make sure I do it today, because I
thank
do.
you.
I should get these out and show people that I do support the artists
Yeah,
I have on the
thank you,
podcast.
Dan.
No, not a
Oh,
problem. But the album's absolutely spectacular, by the way. Congratulations on that
thank
record. It
you.
is wonderful. I play several of the tracks of it tracks from it on my radio show as well, because I just think everyone should hear it.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, tell us about how this album came around then. What was the story behind it?
So working with Graham, and just kind of, propelling my music into the next stage, really, move away from some of the pub gigs and try and play at some bigger venues, and do some do some ticketed events. And sorry, I got a bit distracted there. I could hear my dog howling at someone in the background. But anyway, so Graham was just doing an amazing job at promoting me, and getting me some amazing gigs, and booked my first ever tour. I went out on a solo tour back in 2024, spring 2024, I think it
Mm.
must have been, was my first, solo tour. And I'd been writing new songs. And the plan was, right, we're going to get you a bunch of amazing shows, and then put together a debut album. So this album really was a combination of songs from the last 15 years of my music career, and songs, that had just recently been written. And it's just something I'm so incredibly proud of. And I was so lucky to get to work with some amazing musicians on this album. Working with the Magic Teapot Festival venue, I've met some of my best friends, and these guys just also happen to be such incredible
Mm.
musicians, and so many of them feature on Lost en Route. But yeah, the reason I called it Lost en Route was exactly the story I've been telling you.
Mm.
This journey of always wanting to be a musician, and feeling like I am a musician, but just feeling like I was getting a little bit lost on the way, and having to do other careers here and there, and just not finding my feet, and not finding the right, not finding the right people to work with, because I had some amazing people that I'd been working with, you know, when I was younger, but just more in recent years, just, you know, not having the right direction and the right team
Mm,
around me to help. And in particular, the song, the title track, Lost en Route, is about being in Australia, and then when I left Australia, when I broke up with my ex over there, I lost touch with a lot of friends
mm,
over there. So it's a song that reflects on the sort of sadness of what happens when you break up with someone. You not only lose that excuse me, that person, but you lose touch with their family, and you lose touch with all
yeah.
those friends as well. So Lost en Route kind of had that double meaning for me. You know, that song, a very particular kind of personal story about being lost en route and how they are lost en route, but also this whole musical journey of mine,
Mm,
how I've felt a little bit lost en route along the way, but here we go, as of 2024, finally, you know, after many years of working on my music, finally I've got this debut album that I was so incredibly proud
mm.
of, and I still love playing all the songs. I love listening to all the songs. And yeah, now, and I did some EPs in between as well, a couple of live EPs. Um, but now, yeah, just the feedback on Lost en Route has just been exceptional. And I've got the new album coming out this year, which is
Yes, we
exciting.
are very much looking forward to that new album. That's one that, honestly, there's not many albums that I go highly anticipated. And highly anticipated this year were the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Holly Rogers, and Sorrel Nation. Basically, that's kind of like
Oh, thank you.
those are kind of my four most highly anticipated albums this year, which I'm really looking forward to,
Oh,
and I can't wait. And before we move on, there is one thing I really want to ask you just about the
sure.
previous album. There's one
Hmm.
question, one song in particular, and I want to ask you what you feel like, what it feels like for you to play live. Because, put it this way, my favorite song on the album was always Eggshells, and now
Yes.
I kind of feel
Yeah.
like I'm moving towards this other song
Uh-huh.
because I've seen you
Yeah.
perform it live with the band, and it just sort of genuinely, I just went, I need to go back and continuously listen to that song again. And it's a Dead Man's Road. It's just a track that I love, and you performing it live, it's just the energy of it. Like, can you just describe what it's
Oh,
like to play live, that one?
Dead Man's Road is so much fun to play live. It really is. It's just this big ball. It feels like it belongs in like a Viking TV show or something, with those big drums. And even when we play it live and we haven't got our drummer with us, it's just got so much energy. Um, and it's actually the only song that I've got that I play in a tuning called Dadgad on my guitar,
Mm,
which is
yeah.
just
Mm,
such a gritty, such a
yeah,
cool
yeah, yeah.
tuning to play in. And I keep meaning to write more songs in that tuning. I've got a few, but there's just something so rootsy about it, and
Yeah.
it's a really emotional song for me as well. It was written about someone I love very dearly, who
Mm,
was really struggling with addiction, nearly died, nearly lost his life, and it was a tough year for my family and I. Um, Everything's great now. Went to rehab. They
yeah.
went to rehab, and you know,
Mm,
things are looking up, and so incredibly proud of them. But that was a tough moment in my life, and you know, to nearly lose someone that I loved so much.
mm,
And this was a song just about, you know, I wanted it to be a bit of a wake up call for them, and you know, for anyone that really needed to hear it. That, you know, the lyric, you know, do you want to feel like a rock star, or do you want to
mm,
live till you're old? You know, partying's great, you
yeah.
know, but if you're going to take it too far, like, is it really worth it, you know?
Yeah.
So that, for me, it was just one of those songs that it was written with such raw emotion at the time, so
Mm,
that every time I play it, whether I play it solo or with Theo on cello or with the full band, it just has so much emotion, so much grit,
yeah.
and it's one of those ones I can get really kind of raspy and powerful on
Yeah.
my voice. I can go, as you know, I can go really big on that, and it just really works.
That's what I love about it in many ways, is because obviously, like, you've got such this, like, your vocal is so clear, there's so much clarity in it, it's so, wistful in that way, but then on that song it's not, it's raspy. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, it just shows another side to what you can do,
Yeah.
which is one of the many reasons I love the track. Anyway,
Oh,
new
thank you.
album, we have a new one to talk about that's coming out soon.
Yes.
We also have a brand new single that's out from the album as well. So new album is called Creeping Thyme, and you've got the new single Ran Johnny Ran. So tell
Yes.
me first, Creeping Thyme, the way you spell time's a bit different on there. Can I ask why, please? That's my first
Yes,
question.
sure.
Bit of a
Yeah, yeah.
bold first question, but I'm
No,
going to
no,
ask it
it's very
because I'm
valid.
sure there's a reason, because it is spelled slightly differently.
It is indeed. That's the whole point as well, is to make you think about the two, the two meanings of what it could potentially mean. So creeping time, obviously, as we know, creeping time, time moves along. Creeping time is also the name of this, it's another name for wild time. I can't think off the top
Mm,
of my head what the Latin word is, but
yeah.
yeah, it's a type of time, and it's just a creeping variety. But it's also called wild mountain time. I think there's a song about that as
Mm.
well. Um, I can't think what that song is. It's a beautiful folk song. Oh, the summertime has come. Anyway, I'm going off track. A beautiful song called Wild Mountain
Yes.
Time. But yeah, it's basically wild. Creeping thyme is a really ancient wild herb,
Mm,
and the folklore surrounding it, it basically it talks of courage, resilience, bravery, a way home. I think soldiers used to wear this herb on their armor when they were going off to war, and it's just got
mm,
this really beautiful imagery and folklore around it. But for me, it was the reason I've called the album Creeping Thyme is because the title track, Creeping Thyme,
mm,
is a song about finding your feet and taking lessons from nature in sort of how to ground yourself and how to find your home and how to be resilient when times get tough and when things get thrown at you from all directions. Nature has such an
yeah.
amazing way of just grounding and letting the roots go deep and just
Yeah.
standing fast, and creeping thyme is a really good example of that, the herb itself. um so yeah, so the album itself, I really wanted there to be lots of imagery with nature, and for me it's something in recent years that I've really found to just be so calming, and I've gone from my party days now to just being so happy in my garden with my
Yeah.
plants.
I'm
And just
really invested
finding,
in the story of your garden, by
oh
the way,
good.
because you got that on. You put it on social media, and every time I see it, it's like, oh, there's more. It's
There's
like, oh,
more.
this is
I
put
was
more in
so
it.
excited today. I came running down the
Yeah.
garden going, Theo, we've got tomatoes. Theo, we've got tomatoes and raspberries. I'm in what I call my grandma era. I'm very happy with my crochet
Yeah.
and my
It's the best way
crochet
to
in my
be. It's the
garden.
best way to
Oh,
be. Best way
I
to be.
just I just love it. And we were building this garden over winter, and it just really made me think about, living in tune with the seasons. And just one of the songs on the album is called Child of Autumn, and another song on the album is called When the Winter Breaks. And
Mm,
I just love the seasons that we have, particularly in this country, just the difference we have in the seasons, and just living in tune with the seasons. And I'm not one of those people that gets kind of sad over winter and autumn. I just love it, and I love embracing that, and I love what nature has to bring in those times of the year. And I wanted to write an
yeah.
album that isn't just about nature, but is very much about resilience and courage and bravery. And I just thought Creeping Thyme was such a lovely analogy for that.
Yeah.
Especially when I went and did more research about the herb itself. I just thought, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
It's all about magic, and there's a lot of folklore surrounding it. And I thought, well, we all need a little bit more magic and strength and courage in our lives. So that's going to be the title track of my album.
Well, we've already got a track that we can listen to as well from the album, which is a single that's out today as we record this. So it's obviously
Yes.
going to be out when this is released as well. Ran Johnny Ran. I put it on earlier, and I think you've played this song live before, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, I would have
Yes,
done.
because I felt like I've heard it already, and I was like, oh, or it's just that timeless in a way that maybe it just feels that way. I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah,
hopefully
let's.
both.
Well, hopefully, yes. I mean, let's talk about the new single then, Ran Johnny Ran. Tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so it's out today. So yeah, I wrote this song sometime last year. I can't remember when exactly. And this was the first song I've ever written. I remember literally just drifting off to
Mm.
sleep, and this lyric came to my head, and I just had to wake myself
Mm.
up and write it down. The first
Yeah.
line, "It feels like you died that night," and I just knew I needed to finish the song.
Mm.
Usually I sit down with my guitar and I kind of write the chords and the lyrics or the melody all at the same time. So I never don't write without my guitar.
Mm.
But this was the first song where I'd literally written the lyric, that first line, down the night before. And then we were driving in our van somewhere, maybe to a festival or something. And I just wrote the whole song singing it a cappella. And I just
Yeah.
wrote all the lyrics down, no guitar in sight, because I could just hear the melody and I could hear the
Yeah.
harmonies I wanted on there. And it has this really kind of old-timey Americana feel
Yeah.
to it. And I could just hear everything. And for me, this is a really emotional song. It's the same subject matter as Dead Man's Road.
Mm.
It's the same story. It's a similar kind of same person, same heartbreak that I was experiencing from that really tough
Yeah.
year I've had with that loved one. And it's again, like Dead Man's Road, just a song that was so emotional to write, just sort of spilled out of me in this kind of wave of emotion, and I could just hear exactly how I wanted it to sound. And then when I played it with the band, it was just amazing hearing it come to life and
Mm.
hearing those three-part harmonies and adding the cello and the fiddle. And still now, I've been playing it for probably I played it on this spring tour and I played it live on the autumn tour
Mm.
last year as well. So, it's done a couple of tours with me, and still every time I play this song live, I get that kind of tingles, down
Yeah.
the back of my neck and shivers up my spine, that real emotion you feel when you sing something.
Mm.
Which is super cool, and for me that's what music's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I write these songs because of something I'm feeling at that time, or because of something I want to feel, or an
Yeah.
experience I've had. And it's a very personal thing for me, songwriting. And for me it's just amazing that the vision I had for this song has completely come to life. And I'm
Mm. Yeah.
just so in awe of all the musicians that I work with, and the producer Owen Turner that I work with, just for making it sound exactly how I heard it in my head, and
Yeah.
that it's out today and that everyone can hear it. And the feedback I've been having today already has been incredible. So it's just super exciting.
Yes, well, a huge congratulations on the
Thank
single, by the
you.
way. I genuinely think it's fantastic, and um, I think there's there's another song that I think is going to be, unless plans have changed, it's going to be on the album, and I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about the track listing because I don't
Hmm.
know how much you've revealed yet and how much you want to reveal. So this is completely up to
Sure.
you, and you can say no, I can't say
Sure.
anything if you want. Um, I think there's one song that you've been performing live for many years
Yes.
that's now going to be on the album, of which I would have heard performed live all three times I've seen you. But I did. I know you've performed it three times live.
Yes.
I think you've even released a live version of it as well before,
Yes.
which I've played.
Yeah.
I played it on the first ever radio show I ever did as well. And
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
it's because I just think your voice is amazing on it, and I think the best way to showcase an artist sometimes can be if they got a voice that is that incredible. Just show the voice, like the first thing. That's what
Yeah,
grabs a lot of people in, right? So show them that. Yeah, I think you might know the one I'm talking
I
about.
do, and absolutely,
Okay.
and very happy to talk about it. Very,
Okay,
very
good,
happy to
good.
talk about
Can we
it.
then? Can we then?
Yes. So
So
yes,
yeah,
my story with such a beautiful song. The song is "Who Knows Where the Time Goes"
yeah.
by Sandy Denny,
God, imagine you
which
said another song,
I know.
and I would have went, "Is it?" No, anyway,
That'd be
carry on.
really
Sorry.
awkward, wouldn't it? That would have been
Yeah,
so
carry
awkward.
on.
Yeah, I'm actually, yeah, no. Um, my story with Who Knows Where the Time Goes is it dates back to 2022 when I was playing at Cropredy, which is
Mm.
Fairport Conventions
Yeah,
festival, and I was there with the Magic Teapot. And I'd heard the song, but didn't know it that well. And a friend of mine, Nathan, who's an amazing musician, said, "You should really learn this for this
yeah,
for this festival, because you'll get asked to sing it in the teapot." And
yeah.
and so I learned it for that festival. And I remember the first time I sung it in front of people, and I was really nervous because
Mm.
it's a beloved song, and
Yes.
a lot of people have done it, and there are some beautiful versions out there of it. But people really love this song, and
Mm.
that's always a worry when you're doing your own version. of such a beloved classic. And I just remember singing the song in the teapot, to a big room of Fairport Convention and Sandy Denny fans, and you could just hear a pin drop. And I just remember that
Yeah.
moment and just being like, oh, what an incredible song,
Mm.
and how much I just loved singing it. And
Yeah.
again, the feedback I got that day was just amazing. And I pretty much haven't stopped singing it since. It's been about 4 years, and I think I've sung it at almost every gig that
Yeah.
I've done. I just love it. I just love
Yeah.
singing it. It never gets tiring for me. It never, for the people that love it, I think it was first released in, forgive me if I'm wrong to the hardcore Sandy Denny fans, but 1967-ish. Is
Yeah.
that
I
right?
think I think it
Yeah,
was.
I'm gonna get
Yeah.
Theo, who's over in the kitchen, to fact check me.
That's about right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so late 60s, and it just doesn't get old. The lyrics are
No.
so poignant. They're so beautiful. It resonates with people in so many different ways. It's just such a timeless, beautiful piece of
Mm.
music. And I love singing it. So, I've been performing it solo, I've been performing it duo, I've been performing it with the band for about 4 years now. And I released a live solo version on an EP called 30 Summers that I released on my 30th birthday, which was 2 years ago now, having just had my 32nd birthday. And then I just thought, it would be so lovely to do a studio version of the way
Yeah.
we've been performing it live over the last couple of years, because again, you know, the feedback from people has just been incredible. And I wanted to have a version that I could listen to as well,
Yeah.
a version of me doing it with the band that I can put on and just be like, oh, that's how it sounds when we sing it live, and just
Yeah.
be so incredibly proud of it. So it's been really exciting to be in the studio and recording this one. We've tried to keep it as true to the original as
Mm.
possible, but adding, my own, you know, emotion and raw
Yeah.
sort of, feelings to it. So yeah, we've recorded it. It's going to be coming out on the album. It's also going to be coming out as the second single in August. And what's really exciting is we're releasing it in August to coincide with a book called A People's History. It's called
Mm.
Sandy Denny, A People's History. And it's written by Georgia Rose Lucas, who is
Yeah.
Sandy Denny's daughter.
Mm.
And she's very kindly included me in this book. It's essentially a book of kind of memoirs and stories of
Mm.
people trying to keep Sandy Denny's legacy alive. It's got
Yeah.
people like Richard Thompson in there, and
Yeah.
they've included a sort of a paragraph that I've written about my relationship with the song.
Mm.
So that's really exciting to
Yeah.
be included in the book, and so it felt fitting to kind of release it around the same time. And it just sounds beautiful. We've got fiddle and cello on there
Mm.
and a harmony, and we've kept it quite simple, but it's yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to everyone hearing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive Fairport fan. I'm going to see them for the first time in a few months' time, I think. So I'm very looking forward to that. I've got my tickets, got my front row
Nice.
tickets as well, but front row seats. I was
Excellent.
like, I'm having them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very, very. It's always nice, and obviously they won't perform that song, so you are the vessel that I tend to hear that song live with, I guess.
Oh,
So it's not. It's
well,
nice to always hear that from yourself. So it'll be nice to have the
my
studio version
dream,
as well.
yeah, my dream one day is to sing it with them at Cropredy. So if
Yeah.
anyone knows Fairport Convention, can put a good word in for me.
I, I'm gonna.
You never know.
I'm to be honest, I'm taking a record for them to sign. I had to decide which
Do
one,
it.
and I found one where the three members who have been there since the '60s are all on, because they weren't on. Two of them weren't on the earliest records, so I'm like, oh, I can't take them.
Mhm.
So I'm going to take that. So if I manage to get a chat with them, I can always mention. Can always
Please
mention.
do.
I will do.
You never know. Dream
Yes,
big.
yes, exactly that. So when will the album be released so people know?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, we've got the single out today. We've got Who Knows Where the Time Goes coming out in August, and then Creeping Thyme, the single, which is the album title. The single's coming out in September, and
Mhm.
then the album itself is coming out on the 23rd of October. But I will have a CD pre-order available next
Mm.
week. So if anyone follows me on social media, keep their ears and eyes peeled, as yeah, you can get first dibs on pre-ordering the CD, which also as an independent artist is just incredibly helpful for,
Yeah.
fun when everything's, personally funded. It just helps massively if I can get some pre-orders in as well. So thank you in advance, everyone.
Yes, pre-ordering is the way to go. I try and do it as much as I can. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
definitely the way to go. Sorrel, I need to ask you where people can find you on social media and things like that before we wrap up.
Sure, yeah. So everywhere on social media, I'm just there as Sorrel Nation. So my website is sorrelnationmusic.com. But on Instagram, it's at Sorrel Nation. Same on Facebook, facebook.com/Sorrel Nation. That's sorrel like the herb, SORREL, if anyone's not sure. But yeah, please do pop me a message, say hello, and yeah, I love to try and communicate with fans as much as I can and hear feedback, and hopefully people can get along to a show. We've got a tour coming up as well. So the album's coming out on the 23rd of October, and the tour starts on the 27th of October to promote the album. So we've got the album review show on the Golden Hind, which is a ship in London, which is going to be really cool. And then we've got the album launch show on the 1st of November at the Trinity Theatre in Tunbridge Wells.
Super
And
duper.
a bunch of other shows.
Well, there's lots to look forward to, and I will put loads of links and things in the description below for people so they can go and find you and get the up-to-date news and everything. We'll wrap up quickly after we finish recording, but Sorrel, I want to say a huge thank you for coming on to Music Fishbowl. It's been an absolute honour and a pleasure as a fan myself to interview you, so thank you so much. And yeah, everyone go and check out not only the new album when it's there, check out the new single and check out the previous album.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Dan. This has been such a lovely chat, and thank you for your support over the years, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, see you soon.
Cool. Bye.